If you are working in data science, especially product and marketing data science, you really want to know about marketing mix models. Marketing mix models, are also called media mix models, are almost like the gold standard for what a marketing team is looking for a business problem to solve out of their data scientists. In big companies, we might be running 10 or 12 marketing channels all at once. We might be running ads on Facebook, on billboards, in movie theaters, just in Google search, on YouTube, all these different channels. And traditionally, data scientists would be able to experiment one at a time. And each of these experiments could take months. In a marketing mix model, you feed basically an entire time series of all of your media channel impressions or spending all at once, and it purportedly will give you an ROI for all of your channels simultaneously in one model. Now, I say purportedly because there are problems, which this paper's topic is one of the things it's going to try and solve. Now, because marketing spend isn't random, it's usually highly correlated. There's problems with multicollinearity. There's problems with endogeneity, in that advertisers will spend precisely when there's more demand, right? We spend more during the holiday times when we think more people are buying. So the results are going to be biased. And what the Bayesian modeling idea is, because of all this multicollinearity, if we can put in priors, so our prior beliefs about a few of these channels, how they perform, then we can pin down the solution for all the channels at once. And we can get those priors through experimentation over the years in certain of these channels. But here's where things get even more complicated. Typically, in the marketing mix model, we're trying to fit a model that is basically shaped like this, where we expect that bookings or revenue is going to be a function of our transformed media impression. So we don't believe that every impression is giving an equal incremental probability of booking, that there's some sort of curvature so that your initial impressions, your initial advertising dollars maybe have bigger impact, and then it has a lesser and lesser impact over time. You can imagine this. If you receive one or two ads for a company, maybe it piques your interest. But if you start to receive an ad with, every other TV break that you get a new ad and you've hit with 50 of them, okay, it's probably too much, right? But the problem is, the curvature and these parameters that help define how the model and how the ads will affect bookings are these complex parameters. And if you talk to even other data scientists, but especially if you talk to, say, your VP of marketing, and you say, hey, what is your belief on, this alpha term in the ad stock function, or the K or the S term in the hill function? They're going to look at you like you're crazy. Like, I don't know what this is. We run experiments. We know what our ROI is, but I don't know what, some curvature parameter is. That's like way too niche and technical. So Google's really big advancement in this research on marketing mix models is that they took this parameter right here, this beta parameter, and they reparameterized it to make that a function of your ROAS, your return on ad spend, which is, it's similar to your ROI, or return on investment. Basically, it's just sales divided by marketing spend. So if you just get your money back, you have no profit, you basically just break even, you would have a ROAS of 1. And so if you go through this paper, they show you what, they have a formula here for ROAS, and they work it out. So they reparameterize, and you can see now that ROAS is a function of the beta terms. And now you can get this beta term that was in the initial regression, and you can get it as a function of ROAS. Now, importantly, what that means is you can now go to your VP of marketing or whoever it is that you're working with, or you can look at some of your experiments, and you can get this direct input into your model and say, hey, we ran an experiment on YouTube ads, and we know that the return on ad spend on that is pretty close to 1.5, right? So for every $100 we spend, we get back $150 in incremental bookings. And so you can see when I actually run this model in the RStudio code, I can put ROAS right here as an input into the model. In this case, I just had it as that it basically was a break even. So what do I do here? I first start off with generating data in Python and putting that time series into a CSV file. So because I am generating the data myself, you can see the random seed, I'm generating the parameters, I'm defining those same transformation functions, and I go through and I create the data and I can see what the true ROAS is of these two media channels that I'm doing. I save that and then I feed it into the model. So I take that data set, I import it into R, and then I run the rstan package, and it fits those exact same models that I was running. And here we'll show you the output. So first off, I can get predicted values of bookings and plot the residuals over time. You can see that it's volatile, but it's roughly centered close to zero. I can also get estimates of the average percent error as well as the mean average percent error. And then I can plot the distribution of the ROAS estimate. And so here's a distribution of the estimates for media channel one. The true ROAS was, I think, what was it, about 0.98. Yeah, the true ROAS when we simulated the data was 0.98. The mean of this distribution is 1.08, so it is a little bit of an overestimate, but you can see that clearly the true value of ROAS is pretty close to the center of the distribution of the estimates that we get. And then here's the estimate for ROAS2. Now, ROAS2, the true value was around 1.35, but I put in a bad prior purposefully. I put in a prior that for 1.0, and so the distribution, the estimated distribution, was centered closer to that like 1.13, but it is an underestimate because I did not put in a correct prior. But I think what is so cool about this is that you can go to your stakeholders and you can run experiments as a data scientist and you can get actual like empirical estimates of what ROAS is in these channels. And then you can feed those into this media mix model, this marketing mix model, to help you pin down the channels that are harder to experiment with. Right. So maybe it's really hard to experiment with, what is the return on ad spend when you put up billboards on, in Times Square. But if you have all this data and you can use experiment results to really nail, say, the impact of your YouTube ads and the impact of your ads on social media like Meta and TikTok, now you can basically soak up that variation and have the rest of those incremental ads going to these harder to identify channels such as like out of home and like these billboards and whatnot.